Well, hello everyone. Welcome to I don't know what we'll call this, a pipe bomb episode of the Missing Lynx. Kendrick just did that at the Super Bowl halftime episode of the Missing Lynx. Ant said, what was Ant's quote?
I don't know which one. Which one are you talking about?
Now I have to look it up. Now the whole podcast is off to the start that we have come accustomed to here at the Missing Lynx.
We're on brand. We're on brand.
I'm here. It's not good journalism, but it is journalism. I'm your host, Andrew Dukowitz. This is about the third pod I've done where I've said, all right, we might be able to kind of close the book on the 2025 Lynx season, but it just keeps getting opened wider and wider. For people who don't know, I cover the Lynx and Wolves for zone coverage, and the man, the myth, the legend, no one else I would rather have here on a day where the WNBA landscape might have blown up. Mitchell Hansen, Canis, Windsor, Hitting the Hardwood founder.
How you doing?
I got the quote. It's they better pay her a MF and fee was Anthony Edwards' quote. So
yeah, that's
shout out to my old man brain at such a young age.
Oh man, what a day. When you thought that things couldn't get crazier during and after game 3, Minnesota picked it up a notch and things got a little bit more, I wouldn't say crazy, but more interesting. And unprecedented, I guess you could say, on Tuesday. But they're making a statement. You got to give them credit, making a statement.
And the thing I liked most about Fee's statement is she didn't make it about the Mercury or just like the officiating in game 3. Yep. She brought up the lack of respect that WNBA leadership shows to the players union. She brought up, what is kind of said disparagingly behind closed doors. She brought up the relationship that Kathy has with the players union, where it's not even Kathy communicating with them. She kind of, there's standing on business and having your receipts. And then she probably had a few lawyers look at this to make sure she's not liable, and then standing on business and having receipts. I mean, I was there watching it, and to say that my expression was shocked would be a lie, because for me, I'm fully behind the players. I'm not going to make any two bones about this. That is the corner I am in. So as Fee is saying all of this, it's just every article I have written for the last 2 months about the CBA just coming to light. So I was delighted. Mitch, when you're watching this from work or home, what the heck was going through your mind?
Well, initially, so when she came in, Fee, just for people who maybe weren't listening or following along, Fee was probably the fourth player? Yeah, she was
second to last of the players. Only Land followed me.
Yeah.
I would also say in typical Fee fashion, she stubbed her bad foot while walking up on the podium and almost ate it a little bit, which, if you want to know Fee as a person, she is graceful, wonderful, eloquent, well-spoken, but she'll also stub her toe going up the stairs. And that's why we all love her.
Yeah,
anyways, it's back to you.
But yeah, she was the fourth person that came in to speak. And for people that are unfamiliar with how the exit interviews work, usually a player sits down, media starts asking questions. That's what happened. The first 3 players that came in, Courtney Williams, Bridget Carlton, Kayla McBride, and then it was Fee. Once Fee sat down and she had a piece of paper in her hand, you could tell that something was going on. And she said right away, I have a statement that I would like to read. I will admit I did not expect it to go that route. Yep. I thought it was maybe injury related. Maybe she was going to, announce something about her ankle, what happened, maybe express frustrations with officiating. Who knows? I did not really expect it to go that route. But it goes back to, it's very similar to what took place with Cheryl in Cheryl's situation, that it's not one in particular incident. It's not game 3. I know a lot of people are saying, it's just because she got hurt, or Cheryl's upset because Fee got hurt.
Yes, I would just real quick, I would just add, I don't think it's even this playoffs.
No.
I've only been covering the WNBA with credentials on the beat for 2 years.
Yeah.
And the officiating is, quite frankly, abhorrent. Like,
Mhm.
the fact that this isn't happening more often where players
Right.
get injured is shocking. But continue, Mitch.
No, I mean, yeah, I agree with you. It's more than just one game, one season. It's a accumulation of everything. And Fee was the person that, or she said in her 4+ minute statement that you know she's tried to do this behind closed doors. She's tried to kind of do this privately and not bring it to light. Which is a responsible thing to do and a respectful thing to do when it comes to how you're addressing the league. And it's obviously not making a difference. So now it's time to put pressure externally and in the public eye. And that's exactly what they're doing. And I give them credit. I wrote a piece that just went out right before we started recording this at Canis Hoopus. And I basically outlined, like, the Lynx have been the team that have been at the forefront of change for a decade plus.
Yep.
You look at in 2016, they had the Change Starts With Us shirts. They do stuff in the community all the time. They always bring up social justice issues, equity issues, all of that stuff, or bringing stuff to light like this. The Lynx are not afraid to do that, and that's who Cheryl is. She even said that she's not going to apologize, for what she said. That's who she is. That's her mentality. Yep. And she empowers her players to do so as well. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. So the long-winded answer to your question, I didn't know where it was going to go when she started reading. But as soon as she started reading, I was like, okay, this is the route we're taking here. And it did its purpose, and it will continue to do so. But she made a mark, and it'll be something that we talk about for a while. And the other side of things with this is obviously the CBA talks. This just puts so much more pressure on the WNBA. And now that I think players are a little hesitant to speak out once the Cheryl incident happened, and it's probably their own team PR telling them to, hey, back off, pump the brakes, do not get involved with this. But now that a player gets involved, you're seeing a lot of players on social media respond in a positive way towards Fee, and just people throughout the sports world that are kind of backing her up and saying almost thank you for finally saying something. But it takes a lot of courage and a lot of guts to do what she did, and I give all the credit in the world for Fee, because she, no pun intended, she made a statement with what she said on Tuesday.
Mark Cuban spoke on it, Cole. To make it even more good Lord, he retweeted my video, which I never thought in my life Mark Cuban would be retweeting me. I don't know if that's a sign that the rapture did happen and we're all just like ethereal beings now, but been a weird day, to say the least. I mean, I would agree with all of that, and I would just also try to hit home the fact that, like, this is an organization that has always spoken up for the little guy, has always kind of taken those stands, whether you agree with Cheryl Reeve as a person, whether you agree with her politically, whatever it is, she is never afraid to back down and speak up on social justice, gun control, legislation, presidency. I mean, even after they drafted Ola Kosu, he was like, well, she's from Russia, so maybe that'll help grease the wheels. Like, she is never afraid to, even if it's in a sideways remark, comment on that. Yeah. And it doesn't surprise me at all that Napheesa Collier, the player that is Cheryl's kind of number one. I mean, I have not heard Cheryl speak the way that she speaks of Napheesa in about really anyone else. It doesn't surprise me that it's Fee that's the one that's willing to do this. And I think what's interesting is, there are already people trying to frame it around, she's the co-owner of Unrivaled, or, she's the Players Association, she has to do this. I mean, she made very clear during that press conference that she was speaking on her own behalf, not on the players, that this is her truth and has nothing to do with it.
But that is also, if I could just interject quick, that's also what makes her so powerful too, is because she does the impact. She has the influence of Unrivaled. She has the influence of being the voice, one of the voices of the Players Association. Like, she has that influence. That's why it's so important that she did it. But continue. I definitely agree with that point.
I was just going to wrap it up by saying, Fee says this, and because it's coming from Fee, like it's so powerful because like it's Fee, right?
Mhm.
Like it's the lovable goofball of the WNBA that's just really good at basketball, graceful with everything. So when people are making these, oh, she owns Unrivaled, that's why she's saying it. There's almost twice as many people that are saying, you're dumb, stop talking about that. That's not the point of this, which it's very rare to have like Twitter on the same side as somebody. and like, I don't know, it's almost been uplifting today. And because like the humanity of it is all focusing of like, yeah, Fee's right. Like, what are you going to do, Kathy? That would be my next question for you, is just, I'm sure you've seen Kathy's response. To say it's lackluster, I think would be understating it. But first, I do want to Maynard says in the chat, Andrew is trying to transition to the Wolves and the Lynx just won't let him. I can't tell you how weird it is to go from a Lynx press conference exit interviews to a practice scrum where everybody's talking about the Lynx. All the Wolves writers, Wolves players, like this was top of conversation today.
Yeah.
And boy, is that weird. But what did you feel Kathy's response was? A scale of 1 to 10, maybe.
Let's just say I was disappointed.
Yeah.
I don't know if looking at the response that she said or the statement that she said now, I think it would have been better off just not saying anything and then coming out and doing an interview maybe before one of the finals games or something like that.
Yeah.
Or even sitting down with the network and having a one-on-one conversation. I think
Rachel Nichols would not be opposed.
Yeah, exactly. But you look at both incidences, and I wrote this in that piece that I just mentioned or referenced before at Canis Hoopus that just went out. The league's response to both situations, and those being Cheryl Reeves' Game 3 and Napheesa Collier's comments today, they're both. They don't. I'm not saying they need to have the answers, but they don't address the issue. They don't address what each coach and player has said in what they're talking about. You look after Coach Reeve made her comments. The league didn't say anything. They just handed a fine and a suspension and moved on. Now, Napheesa Collier says something. They issue a kind of a ho-hum. Kathy issues a ho-hum statement. That doesn't really do anything. And I don't think anybody's asking for them to have the answers right now, but just acknowledge that this is something that needs to be fixed, because that's something that the league has not done. They have not even hinted at the fact that, they're looking into something with officiating. They keep saying, oh, we have the players' safety and interest in mind and whatever. No, that's not true. But, it's, I don't know. I think that it's not always good to say something if it doesn't actually make a point and serve a purpose. Like, just don't say anything at all at that point.
I remember way back in the day before I flunked out of business school and then got into nursing, and now I'm a journalist somehow. I don't know, weird path. I remember way back in the day, back in business school, I had a business administration teacher, Tom O'Brien, I think his name was. Shout out Tom O'Brien.
Great name.
But he had said that like one of the best things he's ever learned is when a customer complains, before you ever respond to it, you just repeat the complaint back to them.
Yep.
And I think in my marriage, that has been great advice. I think in my work life as a nurse, that's been great advice. When I was, in nurse management, that was great advice. And I think if Kathy had just said, we understand that you're not heard and you're frustrated with officials, this off season, we intend to come together and try to come to solutions to this.
Yep. No, exactly. And
different conversation.
And I think it was more, she had that, for lack of a better term, oh shit moment. I need to make a statement now. Like, it's getting to a point where I need to say something. And I don't think she really knew what to say. And that's reflected in that comment. But I don't know. I agree with you. Like it's something that they could have just said, like, we'll have conversations this offseason. Let's figure out the CBA, and then we'll sit down and we'll talk about this officiating issue and what issues are at stake here. And I think that people would have been perfectly fine with that. But to say what she said and basically say, like, she realized, like, oh shit, like I got exposed.
Yeah, she didn't call Fee a liar either, which is, if you're going to either take one way or the other, like,
right.
which makes me wonder, does Fee have Zoom tapes of these things happening? Because
possibly
we need some Redditors here to start getting behind it. But anyways, Mitch, continue.
No, I just think, she's having that. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know what to say. And that's a sign of bad leadership. That is a sign of somebody that is caught in the headlights and doesn't know what to do, because now everybody's turning on her. And it's the perfect time. On the flip side, it's a perfect time for, Cheryl and Fee to say what they're saying, not only with CBA stuff, but just with the amount of eyes that are on the game right now. It's more than ever. And now people are really starting to see through it, and they're starting to call the WNBA out on this kind of stuff. And that's important. You need to have that. You need to have, the NBA has that too. You name what league, NFL, MLB, NHL, whatever. If there's something wrong, the players and the coaches and the teams and the fans, they call it out. And that's when things get addressed. And that's good. And that's a good thing that fans are doing this for the WNBA, but it hasn't led to anything. The WNBA just keeps saying, like, we're addressing it. Well, after 10 years, are you going to do something? Like, when is this going to, finally get to a point where you fix it? Now, I don't have the answer for it. And I'm saying this, I'm criticizing, and I don't have the answers, but it's something needs to change. And Cheryl and Fee are using the most opportune time to do that, because a lot of eyes, especially, are on the Lynx right now after Cheryl Reeve, after what happened in Game 3. So a lot of people are paying attention to that, and there's just more eyes on the game, and it's the most critical time in maybe league history with the new CBA. Like, it's the perfect time to apply pressure, and that's certainly what Cheryl and Fee are doing. And I anticipate more players and coaches are going to continue to do the same until something actually happens.
My impression of Fee, having covered her for 2 years, is that, well, she has this ho-hum demeanor and she trips going upstairs, that she is a very savvy and like analytical thing. I say this to say, like, I would be shocked if Fee didn't reach out to, I know she told her team. Cheryl says that Fee didn't have a conversation with her, but we'll let that one play out.
Yeah.
But I would be shocked if Fee didn't ask Caitlin, like, hey, I want to use you in this, or reach out to Asia and say, hey, you guys got Game 5 tonight. This is happening. Like,
it's the same thing, like, with sorry to interrupt you. It's the same thing with, the shirts that Pay Us What You Owe Us at the All-Star game. Like, it was a collaborative effort, and Fee being a part of that Players Association and having such a big role in that, she definitely reached out to at least those close to her in that circle, to ask them what they thought of it, because it goes well beyond her. It could impact what she says in this statement, could have impacted positively or negatively the CBA talks. So that's definitely something, I think, that, to your point, that she brought in other people on, just to at least consult with.
I just don't think this was a heat of the moment decision. I mean, I think whether she had the entire thing typed out before Game 3 or Game 4, we'll never know. But I think this is something that Fee has probably been sitting on, wanting to do at an exit interview or a big stage for a while. And I mean, I think it's also no coincidence that Alana Smith was the only player to follow her. Yeah. And when we asked Lan about it, she was like, I'm behind Fee 100%. I'm not saying, like, the players that went before her didn't have that same sentiment, but I think it's just powerful that, your co-defensive player of the year is going, preach,
Yeah.
There was a comment in here. I think it was from Cole or Andrew, which I'm sorry if I'm forgetting which one of you sent it, but appreciate you both. Do you think Kathy will step down? Do you think this is a situation where Kathy gets pushed out by the owners? Because if Mark Cuban's tweeting it, the other rich guys are seeing it.
I could see it being where she's maybe pushed out, I don't think she'll step down voluntarily. Now, I'm not calling for her job. I'm not, saying she deserves to be out, whatever, whether I believe it or not. But I could see if she is if replaced or kind of pushed out, it would be the decision by the owners. And that'll be interesting to see how that plays out over the next couple months. Especially with the owners having a say in the CBA. At this time, at this point, like, do they want somebody else to come in there and help with these negotiations and take over that spot? They have the right and the ability to do that. Now Kathy's not going to voluntarily go, step down and just be like, all right, I'm done here. Let's pass it off to somebody else. That won't happen. That's just not who she is. But I could see it. I don't think it's likely, but I could see it. It's very, very rare for that to happen in any sport, in any league. But it could happen, and I don't think you can rule anything out, especially at this point in time. If we weren't dealing with a new CBA, I'd say no chance. She would stay in her role. But with a lot riding on this off season, you never know. Anything could happen.
I agree with you that I don't think she'll step down. I preface this by saying I've never met Kathy, never talked to Kathy. Would love to if she was in town and wanted to talk. The couple times she has been in town, scandals occurred, I believe. One with the Vegas and another one. So I have not had the pleasure to even ask her a question at a press conference. So I'm kind of like you. I genuinely don't. Once I meet someone and talk to them, I feel like I can say my opinions on them, but like, I'm not going to say that she deserves to get fired or something like that. I will say owners pay attention to this stuff, and owners know that fee is a big part of the reason they are making money. Obviously bringing up Caitlin Clark by fee, I think was intentional as well. And I think that she probably got Caitlin's blessings to do so. I'd be shocked if Fee didn't. That's just me speculating, knowing Fee as a person. But I think the names she dropped with Angel, with Caitlin, bringing up kind of the disparaging remarks, bringing up that behind closed doors nothing is happening. I think owners are going to hear that, and they're going to look at this USA deal that was announced today, the Disney money, the Amazon money, the ESPN money that's coming in next year. And kind of to Andrew's point here in the chat, a lockout would hurt both parties. And I think
it would.
I think it's going to be tough to come to a deal. But at the end of the day, I think the owners realize that if they lock out, they are leaving hundreds of millions of dollars on the edge. I do want to get your thoughts quick, though, because I know you're on a deadline to go mow lawn, which shout out Mitch, who mows his own lawn. I also don't. My wife.
You made me sound like I'm like 55 years old, and I got to go grill and mow my lawn.
Those white New Balances, and he's gonna paint them green today. I do. Cheryl kind of unprompted at the end of her press conference gave Lori and A-Rod a really good shout out and vote of confidence, which I'll be honest, I was not expecting. I don't really know how that relationship is, but for Cheryl to go out there and say, A-Rod and Lori, I'm really excited to work with them. This is a new era. They support the team. I thought that was meaningful because she didn't have to do that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Whenever Cheryl kind of goes out of her way like that to do something, I think it's noteworthy. And honestly, Cheryl's been supportive of them throughout this whole process. She's spoken highly, whether she, strongly believes it or not, or if she's telling the truth or not. She's spoken highly of their involvement and their interest in the Lynx and in their meetings that they have regularly. I know a lot of people on the outside see A-Rod and Lori as, being very involved with the Wolves, which they are, and that's great. But they are involved with the Lynx. They're in the front office. They're speaking to staff members. They're speaking to both the Wolves and the Lynx because they are all a part of one organization. And they are very supportive. I mean, you don't see a lot of, you do see owners, but let's say the previous owners of the Timberwolves and Lynx, you didn't see them, publicly
you saw them
coming.
courtside. That was all.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all what it is.
And you do see that with A-Rod and Lori, like they're there for a bulk of the games, or A-Rod was there for the playoff games for sure, sitting courtside. You see them coming out and publicly acknowledging the team, celebrating the team, whether it's Wolves or Lynx or both. And A-Rod and Lori have done that. A-Rod's been very supportive in that way. Now posting on social media only goes so far. You got to back it up with how you actually support the team and your resources that you're pouring into it. But from everything that Cheryl has said, it's been great so far. And I have no reason to think otherwise. I trust Cheryl, and I believe Cheryl with stuff that she says, because she's always upfront and honest. And yeah, I mean, her kind of speaking out about them and kind of giving a vote of confidence is it's a great sign. And I do think that A-Rod and Lori are pouring resources into this team because they see the value there. They see, like a lot of other, markets that are trying to get WNBA teams or other ownership groups, they're trying to tap into the WNBA because they see the potential, they see the growth. And A-Rod and Lori are doing that same way, and they're pouring everything into it from my belief. But I do think that that's only going to help the Lynx, and not just for this year, but for years to come as well.
I completely agree. I've been impressed with them this season. I think I would say, especially around the Lynx, like they've been at more games than I think people would know. They don't go on the Jumbotron anymore. So a lot of times It's just A-Rod standing in the back tunnel or Mark Lori wandering around. But part of it is when you're looking at like return on investment, right? Like to have the Lynx, who are kind of like the Ferrari of the WNBA. They have, the awards, they have the championships, they have the Cheryl Reeve, they have the, runner up for MVP the last 2 years. To have all of that, and for a billionaire, how little money it is to invest to cover those operating costs. I think they're very acutely aware that, like, if we put money into this, we can really make a lot of money off of this. V. Marie made a good comment here of it would be nice for media to ask owners questions. Yes. It's been kind of eye-opening to me, being new to this side of media, of the lack of availability of the owners. Like I from what I have heard, is A-Rod and Lori having like 3 press conferences in 2 years is the absolute rarity. Most owners, you never get an opportunity. I've never gotten an opportunity to talk to Glenn other than like in passing saying hello.
It's very rare that you even have one sit down with the owners. Like you maybe get an annual like kind of conversation or media availability from them. But it isn't, and I'm not making excuses. Like it should be something that we could, request or have access to a little bit more often. But that's just reality, is owners aren't usually that visible. And I think that's somewhat by design. But it's something that's kind of rare to have happen, to your point.
Yeah. Mitch, any closing thoughts here? Again, I know you got to run. Anything else Fee emptied the chamber today. So anything you got to get out there, or?
No, it's been a wild last few days. It's been, I think, maybe I don't want to say groundbreaking last few days, but it's been extremely impactful last few days. And I think it'll be, very motivational, and it will kind of change the course of how we go into this off season. And how the CBA talks evolve and how everything takes place. I do think that these conversations, although they're difficult conversations, they're conversations that take over headlines. I do think that it sparks change, and I do think we will see something different next year, starting in 2026 in the WNBA. Maybe it's not a better product when it comes to officiating, but it will be a better system that they have set up to make sure that it does get better. It's to a boiling point, and it very much needs to be solved once and for all. But it is something that these last few days that I've never experienced anything in my time covering the Lynx. I thought Cheryl, like I said earlier, I thought Cheryl's game 3 kind of outburst in her post game comments. I thought that was going to be where it was left off. And I did not expect Fee to come out on Tuesday and talk about that the way she did. But credit to her. I give her all the kudos in the world for stepping up and putting her foot down, her good foot, that is. Also, I want to say I hope she recovers quickly, because that going through the same injury on both ankles is not ideal.
She mentioned that she had some torn ligaments, and it was very similar to the other ankle injury that she had earlier this year, which sucks, but not breaking bones is always a really important thing.
That is very
when
important.
You start breaking bones, that's where you get into those. Is she going to come back the same player?
Yeah.
My hope would be is she recovers, is able to do Unrivaled, and it's off to the moon. Last thing I do want to just mention, I mentioned it a lot of just Lynx fans. You guys are awesome, but being at those exit interviews, it is really remarkable how much the players not only like appreciate Lynx fans, but they connect with Lynx fans. I mean, they notice that. I'll be fully honest. The second the camera stopped on Lan, and Mitch, I don't know if it made it onto the TV, but the first thing I asked her as she was walking off was like, do you agree with the Heller rankings?
Yeah.
And she was like, I don't know. It all sounds the same to me, but a fan sent me an "Oh no" t-shirt.
Yeah.
And like, they pay attention and hear and see all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And they love it. Like, that's why it's so fun to cover this team, because I'll see a meme on Twitter or on Discord, shout out Lynx Discord. And then like I can go to the players and bring it up, and they've already seen it and think it's hilarious, which shout out to you guys. Cause not only do I call you crazy very often, but like it's in a good way.
Yeah, no, I agree. And one thing that Cheryl had said too during her remarks or her exit interview was Lynx fans appreciate them. They appreciate the team, that is. They like watching them, and they can identify with them. And I thought that was something that really resonated with me when she said that, because there is a unique relationship between Lynx fans and the Lynx players and team and coaches that you don't get anywhere else, I don't think. You get it at maybe like a college level or something, but at the pro level, it's very rare to have that kind of relationship with the team. And that's a credit to the Lynx for being themselves, for being open, for being available, for to be relatable, and that's exactly who this team is. And it's been a crazy year, for the media, or for us specifically. I'm appreciative for Lynx fans for following along all season long. We will obviously have more as the off season unfolds, because it is a big off season, obviously. But Lynx fans never disappoint. You guys always show up. You always show out, whether it's at games, whether it's for listening to talking heads like us on these streams or on podcasts, reading our content that we write on websites. Like it's remarkable, and we couldn't do it without you guys. And we say this all the time, but we do this because Lynx fans deserve it, because WNBA fans deserve it, because there should be more of this stuff. Like you said, it's journalism. It's not good journalism, but it's journalism, and we're glad that you guys tune in. So I just want to say shout out to Lynx fans, to WNBA fans who tune in, who support, who continuously show up, because we couldn't do it without you guys. And we really, really appreciate everything you guys do for us.
Mitch, we have a sponsored network because Lynx fans are awesome. Like that's what it comes down to, is like, none of this is possible without Lynx fans, WNBA fans. I mean, if you would have told me 2 years ago that like we'd be doing this, not only just you and me and Terry together, but like there'd be a podcast that people listen to about the Lynx, I don't know if I would have believed it, but here we are. 686 people came by today, by the way, which is wild. We hit a peak of like 30 on YouTube at one point listening at the same time, which is wild. And I will just say, we do plan on having a more season ending, tie a bow on it type of episode with, Mitch, Terry Horseman of the 9, and myself. As long as news slows down enough to where our plans don't immediately get shattered and we have to do an emergency episode.
Where's the wood? I got to knock on
it. But for people who want to follow me and kind of keep following over the winter, I am going to be doing Wolves stuff. The Missing Wolves is the Wolves version of this podcast. I am having Chris Hines from the Star Tribune on tomorrow. Mitch is the WNBA aficionado. He'll be doing stuff WNBA all season. I'll have some bonus episodes of this coming out, but for everyone who's joined in, we appreciate you guys. And until the next time, hopefully nothing else crazy happens and we can all decompress at a Lynx block party tonight.
We'll probably be talking here in a couple days when somebody else says something.